Well, I bet he's been waiting to do this for ages. Let's begin. Well, ever since Labour unfortunately won the election the other day, which kind of was a given, wasn't it, because of Rishi, and let's face it, some of the stupid pledges on his manifesto, Labour must have been rubbing their hands with glee, jumping up and down, deciding what taxes they're going to put up, I guess. Along with, of course, all their woke policies coming in, and of course any EU browners, and they'll more than likely want to do. However, Sadiq Khan himself appears to be taking full advantage of any new tax rises or whatever they are able to do. And I say that because Sadiq Khan is apparently extending London's congestion charge to apply to all zero-emission vehicles from the end of the year. Well, isn't that nice for him, eh? In the middle of a cost-of-living crisis. Although, admittedly, they're not exactly cheap to buy, of course, depending on which one you do. Although leasing is apparently the cheaper way to do it, eh? The move, which will extend a £15 daily tax on motor and to battery-powered electric vehicles from Christmas Day 2025, was widely condemned on Tuesday. And Mark Harper, the ex-Transport Secretary, said that taxing cars, even if they're zero emissions, shows that Labour are planning to use motorists as cash cows, and since they got into government, worse will come, with pay-by-mile taxes and fuel hikes to help close their £2,000 tax black hole. And the thing is, all this congestion charge and ultra-low emission zones and things like that, I'm pretty sure when they were first announced was because of the smog or the harmful fumes or whatever else they wanted to say. And admittedly, yes, I do know that ULEZ is different to the congestion charge. However, it does make me wonder now that they're bringing this to EVs if they will either do one or two things. Phase out ULEZ and possibly increase the congestion charge to outweigh any losses they have, or if they'll keep them running side by side, increasing them bit by bit every year, eh? But the thing is, surely, that as ULEZ is an environmental tax, that EVs will never be able to be taxed because they produce no fumes, do they? The thing is, though, since they are more than likely going to bring that ban forward to 2030, and therefore that in itself is going to be hitting us motorists harder, because they're not exactly cheap to buy in a petrol or diesel car, are they? Unless, of course, you plan to either buy a new petrol or diesel car either just before the ban, or you plan to hold on to yours for ages. But either way, it is bound to hit people in the middle of a cost-of-living crisis. This is surely the last thing we need. The AA, though, they've described scrapping the green exemption as a turkey bone in the throat for owners of electric cars wanting to drive them in the capital. And let's face it, with each one of these incentives that they're now deciding to take away, what reason do actually people have to move over to an EV? I guess they're not actually thinking of things like that and just thinking of the money rolling in, eh? Mr. Khan's office, though, what did they say about it? Well, of course, as usual with a lot of people, Mr. Khan's office has declined to comment when approached by the Telegraph. And over the years, the Mayor of London has spoken intensively about his personal drive to improve London's air quality by imposing charges and restrictions on motorists, including the low emission zone, LEZ, and the ultra low emission zone, ULEZ. It just makes me wonder what they're going to think up next. Maybe, just maybe, pay by mile is only round the corner. Because let's face it, once more and more people do actually own an EV, he's not really going to be able to keep up with ULEZ, is he? And Transport for London, the TfL, confirmed this week that it was proceeding with the plans to remove the current £10 exemption that lets owners of battery-powered vehicles drive in the capital without paying a £15 daily congestion charges. And a spokesman, though, for them, they said that the plans were first announced in 2018, highlighting a statement from that year which mainly talked about scrapping exemptions for taxis, though. Well, that's not really the same thing, surely. The congestion charge exemption does not apply to the LEZ or ULEZ schemes. Well, yeah, obviously, because they don't pay it anyway, do they? And obviously, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that's going to pee a load of EV owners off. And it looks like I was right, because it was condemned by Quentin Wilson, a former Top Gear presenter who now campaigns for a faster transition to electric vehicles. Well, to be honest, I think if anything that's going to slow it down. But then again, if Labour do bring forward that target, then it might not do. But if anything, I've got a feeling with the amount that could cost people, I've got a feeling they'll just leave it where it is. And there'll be another pledge, or maybe even their first pledge, that they'll U-turn on, eh? Mr. Wilson, he told the Telegraph that the plans seemed counterproductive and that his Fair Change UK group could be writing to the Mayor to object. Unfortunately, it seems Sadiq Khan doesn't really take much notice of things like that. Well, obviously I could be wrong, but I've got a feeling I'm not. He even says this: the cynic in me can't help but thinking that this is a revenue-based decision. Whoa! I think the rest of us have thought that way about Sadiq Khan for quite a while. He goes on to say, why are we stopping it now? And they will say, Well, it's a congestion issue, but man, surely it's manifestly better to have cars with zero tailpipe emissions sitting in the queues rather than those that are polluting diesel and petrol vehicles. So to me it just doesn't work, he says, with his campaign to make London a much greener, cleaner air city. It seems completely counterproductive, which I guess is a very good description of Sadiq Khan himself. Well, in my opinion anyway. And of course, TfL spokesperson is back because he says the congestion charge cleaner vehicle discount was part of a phased scheme to tackle London's toxic air. Ending the cleaner vehicle discount from December 25th, 2025 will maintain the effectiveness of the congestion charge, which is in place to manage traffic and congestion in the heart of London. And the introduction of the London-wide ULEZ has resulted in dramatic improvements in air quality, and more than 52,000 grants have been approved for Londoners, businesses and charities to switch to cleaner vehicles, with 70,000 fewer non-compliant vehicles now seen driving around London's roads, which kind of to me sounds like, well, hang on a minute, we've got 70,000 fewer vehicles, so we either need to do one of two things: put the price up, which, let's face it, will go down like a lead balloon, start charging EVs. And to be honest, it seems quite clear which one they chose, eh? That being the case, of course.